Hello everyone, today is December 26th, and this is a look and discussion of the upcoming weekend weather, including a look at your New Year's forecast. Last night was the last real day of the Arctic chill, and while it's still cold, we will see highs in the 50s today. Now throughout this week we will be steadily warming up, and by Friday, the cold air will seem like a distant memory as we get back into the 70s and 80s. While the first portion of your week will definitely be quiet, do note that by the time we get to Friday, the pattern will begin to change. Interestingly, there could be multiple more days of severe weather on the horizon with a very short window in between. With all that said, let's dive in. For today, we're kinda stuck in between two upper level jets with one over the US and one over Florida. However, the upper level jet that is currently over the continental US is starting to dive southward. This, as you can see with the loop, will be creating some cloudy skies by later today, but precipitation should be light if it does occur. But over the first half of the week, that's all we really have to talk about with rain. If we take a look at the NAM, we can see that temperatures started out today obviously at freezing. They will be warming up over today into the 50s. As we go along, notice another shot of colder air where the cold front is going to be sweeping in, but it doesn't quite make it here. For tonight, notice our lows manage to stay in the upper 40s on the south shore while the north shore gets below freezing nearly again. On Tuesday, we're back in business as we get back into the middle 50s for highs. But most notably, notice in the Gulf how a surge of warm air is coming. On Wednesday, notice how temperatures definitely respond to that warmer air as we finally get into the middle 60s. Notice how lows actually increase throughout the night on Wednesday night and Thursday. All of this is in response to a cold front forming to our west with an attendant low pressure up here. Now this is Thursday. Up to Thursday, things will be dry. But after this point, a lot of thunderstorms will be possible over the area. Now what you see here is a forecast from the Weather Prediction Center of how much rain we will be getting per day. Notice the rainfall forecast from Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Now on Thursday, notice how we are dry, but areas to our west are starting to respond to the low pressure system. If we go to Friday, notice how much rain starts to show up over the area, with amounts up to an inch possible. As for Saturday, notice how the axis shifts off to our east, but we are still looking at another inch possible. Now on Sunday, we get a slight break, but notice by next Monday how another system is forming off to our west, which leads to increased rain chances once again. If we look at the cumulative precipitation over those 7 days, we see amounts up to 2 to 2.5 inches over our area, with increased amounts to our west and east. Also note that while this is a 7-day forecast, the rain that falls will only be occurring over about 3 days of this period, those being the latter half of those. With the increased rain chances on the way, notice how the Weather Prediction Center also has an excessive rainfall forecast of a slight risk of flash flooding. As we go into Friday, notice how the slight risk shifts to over us, and this will be the day that we start watching the rain. So, why is it possible that we see multiple severe events back to back to back? Well, if we look at the upper level winds, which is what I have depicted here, we can see many different troughs that are moving into the area. Troughs are forced by these upper level lows that you can see pretty clearly on the map. If we play the first few frames of this, you can notice that currently we have the upper level trough that is currently over the continental US that is going to dive down. The cloud cover associated with it will be what will be filtering over our area later tonight. This week, notice how upper level winds weaken, but we can see the trough coming out of the west into our area by later this week. For Friday, it's pretty clear to see what happens. A trough moves over our area, which creates the forcing for more storms. After this trough departs, we get a little break on Sunday, but by Monday, yet another one's moving into the area. Once the one passes on Monday, notice that on Wednesday we have another one that crosses our area, and then by Thursday of next week, another crosses the area. This active pattern doesn't look to want to quit. These very short fused troughs should create a very wet week come the week after New Year's. If we look at the forecasted surface maps, we can notice on Thursday the beginnings of our system out to the west. As we get to Friday, notice how a low pressure system forms along the front and starts to move to the northeast, dragging a warm front along with it. As this warm front moves northward, thunderstorms will be possible across our area, and this is where the severe weather could begin. As we get to Saturday, that low pressure system, even though it's not actually shown, starts to move northeast away from our area and will drag the front through eventually on Sunday. Even after that cold front comes through, if we move to Monday, we see another low pressure system on southern Texas that is moving to the northeast. This will bring yet another warm front through, and we will be in the warm sector once again, creating an environment for severe thunderstorms. Now, we're a little too far out to have exact specifics on how bad the severe weather events will be, But if we move through the GFS, we notice supercell composite numbers increasing just a little bit. And I don't expect these to show much because, as we know, global models like the GFS underdrew the CAPE, or the energy in the atmosphere. As we move into the range of the NAM and the HRRR, I expect that this will look at least a little bit more like a severe weather event. Either way, storms will be possible. Notice as we get into Monday, the numbers for the supercell composite start to increase, although they're highest off to our west as the surface low moves northeast. On the GFS, notice we are starting to get into fantasy range, but notice how the front just kind of stalls near our area and doesn't really cross. The bottom line is multiple different troughs, multiple different surface lows will create an environment that is primed for storms, and some which could be severe. Let's go to the explicit forecast, this one for Norco. For tonight and tomorrow, not much happening. Lows in the 40s, highs in the 50s, but notice as we get into Wednesday, that high starts to creep into the 60s. The reason for that, notice how our winds shift from northerly to southerly basically overnight. That is a very quick turnaround that funnels in warmer air from the Gulf, which will also cause our dew points to rise. It's hard to see, but they climb from 40s to 50s, and they will continue to increase. As we move forward, you can see these southerly winds stay stiff and they get breezy at times once we get to Friday and Thursday. For Tuesday, our highs are going to be in the 50s. Wednesday, our highs are going to be in the 60s. And then for Thursday, get ready for your low 70s to come back. Now during the day Thursday, you'll be dry, but notice that as we get into Thursday night into Friday, here come the rain chances. I should also note that fog will be a distinct possibility on most of these days. For Friday into Saturday, notice that our rain chances continue, although they begin to significantly lessen once we get during the day Saturday. Even after this, in air quotes, front moves through, we will notice that dew points stay high and temperatures stay in the 70s. That's because the winds never really turn away from the Gulf, keeping the moisture flowing and the warmer air flowing. For your New Year's forecast, notice that we begin the New Year's Eve period with rain, but that will be lessening as we get toward midnight. By midnight, rain chances should fall to not much. However, clouds will be sticking around throughout. As for your New Year's Day, it looks pretty nice. Clouds will be clearing out, and temperatures will be in the 70s. It'll be a pretty perfect day. With all that said, enjoy the warming trend that we have throughout this week. There will be another video before Friday, before the severe weather event occurs, and I hope to see y'all then. Thanks for watching.